Hello there, my name's Mr. Amran. I'm Deputy Head here at Woodland School, and obviously this is Miss White, the Deputy Head as well. We're here to talk to you about the Satchel One piece of software that we're introducing, and also the whole school centralised detention system. So I'm going to initially pass over to Miss White to discuss how to log on and share that information.
So, as Mr. Amran explained, this evening we're going to talk to you a little bit about the Satchel One app and how we will use that for our whole school centralised detention system. Now, we will be sharing some information, and I know some has already been sent home to you by your email addresses, but the purpose for tonight really is to ask some questions. So throughout the whole presentation, if there are any questions that you want to ask, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We'll keep an eye on that chat box. And we have got some frequently asked questions already that we'll go through before the end of the session. But please feel free to add some more as we go, and we will make sure we address them. So first, just briefly, a little bit about the Satchel One app. Now, we're really excited at Woodlands because we, moving forward, are going to be using the Satchel One app for a range of different things. First and foremost, we're going to be using it for the sanction system and to notify parents of sanctions. But moving forward, we can also use the timetabling function on there. There's an attendance function, and eventually we'll be using the show my homework, the homework setting function as well. And the purpose of Satchel One really is to have an app that all stakeholders use. So pupils will be using it, they'll download it to their phones, and parents will have it, and staff will have it. And the idea really is to stop you having lots and lots of different programs that you have to log into and try to minimise it as much as we possibly can. Unfortunately, there isn't one that does everything. We've researched it at length, but we do feel that Satchel does hit and it helps communicate and has a lot of functions on there that should support you and your child in their journey at Woodlands. So as I mentioned, you should have received an email home to you using the email address that we've got on the system, which gives you a specific login code to access the platform for your child. There were instructions that were sent out. It's quite straightforward. You put in the code, you enter the email address that you wish to use, and that should then allow you access to the program. This can be done on a computer or a laptop, but we do recommend that you do it on your mobile phone. So you've got the app, and so when notifications, when homework's set or when sanctions are set, they go directly to your mobile phone. We've been working with pupils this week to ensure that they're set up, they have the apps on their phones, so they receive those notifications as well. So as I said, if you haven't done so yet, please do check your emails. It's got a very clear guide on how you need to do that. The other thing to note is if you have more than one pupil at the school, you will need both of the login codes. You log into the first one, and then you just add another pupil using the second pupil code. So you should have them both linked to the same account. So you won't need separate login details for both your pupils. They should all link to one account. There are as well, as I said, we're going to talk through some functions this evening, but there are videos available. If you wanted to go onto Google and just type Satchel One Parents, there are videos available that help you to explore the programme in its entirety. At the moment, as of next week, we're just using it for the sanction system to notify you of sanctions. But as I said, we will be launching different aspects of the programme in the new academic year. So that's a very quick bit about Satchel. I will pass you over to Mr. Amran now, who's going to talk about how we're going to use the Satchel One app for the sanctions next week. But as I said, please feel free to start writing any questions that you have in the chat function.
Okay, thank you. Now, so the whole school centralised detention system, or what we call as Whiskers, there's no significant change in regards to the types of detentions that we have. So we still have the 30-minute detention, the 60-minute detention, and the 120-minute detentions. But the main difference is that we have these detentions set every single day of the week. Now, the purpose of this is to make sure that every pupil has the opportunity to quickly get that sanction completed, which means that they've got an opportunity to make a fresh start quickly once that this has been addressed. Now, the detentions won't necessarily be supervised by the member of staff who's issued the detention. There'll be an opportunity for those members of staff to come in and speak with your child and do some restorative work with your child during that detention. But then we have each detention type has a separate team of teachers who will be delivering those detentions. Now, all these detentions will be set by Satchel One, and that both pupils and parents will receive a notification from Satchel One, and that's the only way that the detention will be shared with you. So it's really important that you download and get access and regularly check Satchel One. Tutors won't read out detention lists, or as we've done in the past, there won't be people going to collect children from the ends of the lessons of period 5 to take them to detentions. It's solely the pupil's responsibility to make sure that they attend that detention by checking their Satchel One app and looking for those notifications. The other key thing is just reinforcing that responsibility on making sure that you do download that app and you are checking those notifications. It's really important that when you've downloaded that, you have switched on all your notifications so that you've got regular access to that and you're informed of those detentions. When it comes to non-attendance of those detentions, there won't be any excuses taken in regards to unaware of those detentions, because as I said, it's the pupil's responsibility to make sure that they're keeping up to date with their Satchel One notifications, because that's the only way that we'll be doing it. Now, if detentions will be escalated in the usual way, if those detentions aren't attended by those pupils. So that gives you a really clear understanding of the detention system and the main changes. But the key points is that the detention types are every day. And it's really important that you download the app, and it's both the parents and the pupils' responsibility to make sure that you switch on your notifications and keep checking the apps, because that's the central way that we'll be notifying of any kind of detention in the future.
And I'm sure you'll agree that we want to promote people or encourage people to take responsibility themselves. And I'm sure you don't want to always have to be telling them that they've got their sanction. So this app, and the fact that there is a parent one and a pupil one, means that you won't need to. Obviously, we'll notify you of it, so you know where your child is for safeguarding purposes, but they will be notified as well. So yeah, just to stress what Mr. Amran said, it will be their responsibility, and they will need to make sure that the notifications are turned on. I know historically we've sent text messages home. That will not happen as of next Tuesday. The only notifications that will be received will be via the Satchel One app. So the notifications need to be switched on. The other thing, once you gain access to the app, on the left-hand panel, there is a detentions button. So once you've received that notification, if you're not sure, if you click onto that detention button, it will list all the detentions that your child has accrued. So you can always go back to consult it, as can the pupils. So that information is always there. It's always available to them. But we did just want to stress that, because we don't want pupils coming saying, oh, I didn't know the detention. No, you do know, because you know you've got to download the app, the notification will be received. So we'd really appreciate your support in working together with us, just to, as I said, make sure pupils are clear on that. And they know it's their responsibility. That's kind of a big one, really. I know we've mentioned about the sanction system and the whole school centralised one. The only sanction that's going to change slightly is the punctuality sanction. So as it stands at the moment, if pupils are late to lesson, they accrue the minute, they have to serve the minutes back. So if they're 3 minutes late for a lesson, they have to serve 3 minutes at the end of the day. Moving forward, to make it a bit tighter, if a pupil is late to a lesson beyond the period of time that we allow, the grace period for transition, they will instantly have a 15-minute detention. And we will have 2 15-minute detention slots throughout the day. There'll be one at 3:05 to 3:20 and one at 3:20 to 3:35. So for every lesson they are late past the grace period, they will get a 15-minute sanction. And again, you will be notified of that. When you get the notification, it will say who has set the detention. So if it might say, it will come up with a reason. So it might say, I don't know, failure to follow instructions, and that's been set by Miss White. If you have any queries, please feel free to contact the teacher directly if it's about behaviour in a lesson, if you want more details on that. We are going to try and encourage our pupils to do that as well. So we don't want pupils coming to their sanction then querying it at that point. We want them to take ownership and be proactive. So if they've received a sanction and they don't feel that's right, or they're unclear, they need to make sure they've gone and spoke to the relevant member of staff beforehand, iron any issues out before that sanction takes place. But staff are always available before that point to answer questions about that. We just don't want them leaving that to the sanction, because you'll appreciate at that time it can cause confusion and disruption to that sanction. And we want to make sure that there's high expectations in that. I've just noticed that we've got someone saying my daughter's phone has low memory. Is it fine that I only have the app? My daughter can always log online rather than that. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. What we do have open every day is we have in the computer room G4, pupils are always welcome to go and log on every day for 5 minutes to check the app if they want to. That's not a problem at all.
Just on that as well, in addition to the G4, if if they haven't got access to the mobile phone or low memory, then we can't get access to the G4, but the laptop's there. Then, in addition to that, we make contact with Mr. Roberts, who will also arrange a possibility and an opportunity of loaning a device to that child. Will help them through that process.
Yeah, so as I said, if there are any ICT issues, please feel free to come and let us know. I will be in the Opportunities Hub every morning during tutor this week. I'm basically providing support for pupils who are struggling to log in. So if they have any IT or issues with ICT and their accessibility to different devices, please send them my way and we will support them in doing that. But yeah, that's absolutely fine as well. If you've got the app, that's okay. We just want to make sure that pupils are aware of where they need to be. As I said, please feel free to continue to add questions to the chat if you have any.
What we'll do, in the run up to this, we've already had some questions from parents. So whilst we're waiting for any other questions to come up on the chat, and we can run through some of the questions that we felt have been really useful and actually would be well worth to share. So the first question is what if my child doesn't see their notification? We've touched on this already. We said it's important that the parents and the carers and the pupil will receive their notifications. This is all been done by Satchel One, by the mobile phones. Pupils can check their phones in their social time as well within the school, and there's also opportunities where data on Wi-Fi is available within the school in the performance hall, say for example. Pupils so if we're in a situation where a sanction is missed because they haven't seen the notification. And unfortunately, we're in a situation where every possibility to support the child has been put in place, and that section will be escalated to the next sanction.
The next question that we have: what happens? Oh, sorry. Will I receive a phone call or text if my child receives a sanction? Again, we've touched on this. No. So the previous methods we used for sending group call text, that won't happen anymore, and it will just be sent via the notification on Satchel One, and that is actually more immediate. So as soon as that sanction is set, you will receive the notification. So there's no time delay, there's no lag, you will receive it automatically.
Okay, the next question I've got is I can't log into Satchel One. What should I do if that's the case? Well, firstly, we follow the instructions that we've sent out in the letters. That all the instructions have been really carefully tested with groups of parents, so we know that those work. But if you have any other further queries, then please don't hesitate to contact the school or myself directly. On the letter, there is an email address that's directly quoting Satchel One in the email address, and we've got a team here that will answer all those questions for you.
If you wanted that email address, and I'll just ask our IT technicians to put it in the chat for you, it's satchel1feedback@woodlandschool.essex.sch.uk. So if you have got any queries on that, please feel free to contact that email directly, and we will support you with that. Just the next question. So, and this is a fair point. It says we're focusing a lot on sanctions. Don't we reward pupils? Yeah, of course we reward pupils. We actually have a separate program at the moment called the ePraise system. You're probably aware of it. So pupils receive praise points via the ePraise system, so that they are rewarded separately. And we obviously want to ensure that all pupils can learn here and take advantage of the learning opportunities we offer. And actually, for the majority, the sanction system doesn't really apply. But we just want to make sure, as I said, we've created a learning environment where pupils can flourish here. So we just want to make sure it's tight, people, and more than anything else, make sure that they're clear. If there is something that they do that's not quite right, they know what the consequences are. We want to be transparent with the system that we're using, which is why we like the use of the Satchel One app, because pupils can know what's going on and parents can as well.
Okay. The next question that we got is, what if my child, what will my child be doing during these sanctions? Now, the children will always be doing something of educational merit during these sessions. Okay, and whether it's completing TASMI work, whether it's doing some restorative justice and doing some reflective work on their behaviour. We've got a program or activities that are based around written activities based around the assembly, the weekly themes of the assemblies, and also there's additional revision and homework material that have been produced by the English, Maths and Science departments. So everything that they do within any of these sanctions will be of educational merit and will benefit the child.
So the next question, and again, I think we've touched on this already, but can I still contact teachers if I have a query or concern about a sanction? Yes, of course. As I said, when you get the notification, it will give you a reason anyway, and it will say which member of staff has set it, as well as the time and date of the sanction. So if you have got any queries or you want further clarification, please feel free to email the teacher or contact the school and they can give more information about that. The only exception will be TASMI detentions. They are done centrally, as are the late detentions. But if you contact the school, as I said, the team will pick that up. It's just those ones are administered centrally, as opposed to the ones for things that happen in lessons, which are administered by the teaching members of staff.
Okay. Next question here is, what if my child has been set more than one sanction? Well, when a teacher sets a sanction on Satchel One, it automatically flags up any kind of clash with an additional sanction that's already in place. So that double booking problem won't exist. So it won't allow teachers to double book a sanction. So your child just needs to follow the sanctions that have been sent to them by the Satchel One app. Now, if the child has multiple sanctions, then there is the team that are working behind the scenes here at the school may also look at the accumulation of those detentions and put a package together around that child to maybe pull those detentions in to make one central longer detention, so it makes it more manageable for the child.
Okay, so the next question, can my child reschedule their sanctions? You would appreciate we get a lot of requests from this for pupils. However, we generally believe that consistency is important for a pupil's success. We do ask where possible that you refrain from asking for detentions to be rescheduled. Of course, in some exceptional circumstances, we're happy to work with parents to reschedule them. However, we tend not to do that when people just come forward and say, I can't do it tonight because of X, Y, and Z. So if there is an exceptional circumstance, please feel free to contact the school and we will work with you to rearrange that. But we do try not to do that where possible, because we kind of say, if you've done something wrong, you need to serve the consequence, and that might mean you can't go to the town with your friends because you need to accept the consequence. So as I said, willing to work with you, but can we please leave that to bearing or only in exceptional circumstances?
Okay, and the last question is, what if I have more than one child at the school? I think we've touched on this already, but every child, you'll get a parent code for every child, and you can log and register each child that you have on your Satchel One app, and the instructions on that have been given to you in the letter that we provided. But again, if you're still having technical issues, not a problem at all. Use the email that we shared earlier on. That's also in the chat, and we can answer those technical questions for you.
Please do continue to write any questions you might have in the chat. We haven't got many at the moment, which is fine. Hopefully that means it's nice and clear, but please feel free to do so. As I said, we had scheduled for this session to last until 6 o'clock. Obviously, if there isn't a need, we may end it early. So please feel free to put any last minute questions in there. I will now just take the opportunity to talk a little bit more of the app in general, because we have spoken quite heavily about the sanctions this evening. As I said, there are a range of other different features on there. If you've managed to log on already, you may have noticed that the pupils' timetables are on there, and that's a really, really nice feature. It means that you can have a look every day what subjects they've got and hopefully encourage them to pack the necessary equipment for those subjects. The attendance feature is also on there. Please don't rely on that data at the moment, because we haven't actually launched the attendance feature across the whole school yet. So some staff might be using it, but not all staff are. So please don't look at that at the moment for an accurate representation of your child's attendance. We will be launching that, and we will inform you when that takes place, so you know when you can start looking at that for accurate attendance. But that is another feature that we're going to launch. And then finally, the big one at the moment, or the big one will be the Show My Homework. Now, if you've had pupils at the school for some years, you may remember that we had Show My Homework pre-pandemic. Satchel owns Show My Homework. Now, of course, we do have TASMI here at Woodlands. That's our everyday home learning. But you'll appreciate that as pupils progress through the school and they start beginning their GCSE qualifications, sometimes additional home learning is necessary to develop the necessary skills for exam success. So what will happen moving forward is, if additional homework needs to be set, and again, we will launch this with parents and pupils at the same time, it will go onto the Satchel app and you will receive a notification. So it will all be under that Satchel app. As I said, we want to make it as accessible as we can, and it's good that all of those features are together in one app.
I've got a question there from Raphael. My child doesn't have a huge amount of data on their plan. How do they check their notifications in school? I think we've covered that, but as we've said, There's Wi-Fi available within the school, so the children can use their phones within their free time. But we've also, in G4, we've also got access to laptops for those children. And if there are additional technical issues and you don't have access to a device, then if you make contact with Mr. Roberts, and we could possibly arrange something that could be loaned out to you.
There are very few sanctions that happen on the same day. The only real one is the Tassamai one. Obviously, we get the data at midnight and then they're set a sanction for the following day. People should be aware that they've got that sanction because they know they haven't done their home learning. So that's the only one where if their Wi-Fi is not working throughout the day, they might not necessarily receive the notification if they've not been to G4, but everything else would be the day later anyway. So that allows them plenty of access if for whatever reason the data's not working to log onto the app or log onto a laptop to check. So that there is a period of time which they're able to do that to ensure they know exactly what they need to do. Yeah, after school. So someone's asked, can they work on laptops after school if they need to? Yes, we have the Opportunities Hub that's open. It's a really, really nice study space, nice light and bright, and it's got air conditioning, so particularly popular at this time of year. But they're more than welcome to use the ICT facilities in school after that point. We have this week when we've been logging pupils onto their Satchel One accounts. The pupils who haven't got phones, we have encouraged them to log onto a computer so they can see what that app looks like as well, and they're familiar with how to navigate the program on the laptop or on the computer.
I think the key message is it's really important to download the app. That's our central and single point of call when it comes to the detentions and sanctions system that we're running, and it's really important to make sure that your notifications are turned on because that's the only way that we'll be doing it from the 4th of July.
We will be still here a couple more minutes. So if you've got any last minute questions, please feel free to put them in the chat now. It is, as I said, it is worth noting as well, we are constantly working with Satchel One, and we've already made suggestions to them about how we might think they might want to adapt their programme to suit our school needs. So as parents, if you've got any suggestions, if you email the Satchel One feedback email address, we can then refer those suggestions on to Satchel One because we want the parent experience to be a good one. So we want you to be able to use the app effectively and it to help you to support your child in their time at Woodlands. Doesn't look like we've got too many more coming through.
No, I think most. If there are any more questions, please don't hesitate to add them into the chat. We're more than happy to answer any questions.
So we'll just keep going for about one more minute, and then if there isn't any, we'll end it here. But as I said, if you go away, because I know we speak very quickly, there's a lot of information there. If you go away and you've got questions later on, please feel free to email us. We're more than happy to contact you. And as I said, if your children have got any queries about it, certainly this week I'll be available every morning in Tune to join the Opportunities Hub to deal with any technical issues or answer any questions that you might have.
And alternatively, please don't forget to use the Satchel One feedback at woodlandschool.essex.sch.uk. Use that email address and which is in the chat area there, and we will answer any technical questions and support you as best we can.
It looks like that might be all for the questions. So can we just take the opportunity to thank you for logging in this evening? We really appreciate your support, and it's really nice to be able to be working together to ensure that your child's experience at Woodlands is the best it can be. So thanks very much and have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.